January 6th committee held its ninth and potentially final public hearing on the Capitol insurrection yesterday. And that hearing ended with a bombshell. Committee Chair Benny Thompson led the committee in a vote in which members, both Democrats and Republicans, voted unanimously to subpoena former President Trump.
This is a question about accountability to the American people. He must be accountable. He is required to answer for his actions. He's required to answer to those police officers who put their lives and bodies on the line.
But our duty today is to our country and our children and our Constitution. We are obligated to seek answers directly from the man who set this all in motion. And every American is entitled to those answers, so we can act now to protect our republic.
Joining me now to go in depth on this major development is Luciana Lopez. She is the Deputy Managing Editor for Politics for USA Today. Luciana, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, big bombshell yesterday. We all saw it happen. Trump formally being subpoenaed. Luciana, let's talk about how unprecedented this might be for a former president to be subpoenaed. And let's also talk about whether or not he's going to show up and what happens if he doesn't.
Well, since Trump has cooperated with precisely 0% of these hearings so far, you will be able to knock me over with a feather if he shows up and complies and everything just goes, like it would with a normal, regular, everyday person. This is massively unprecedented. It's something that we have not seen before, but we also haven't seen something like January 6th before. And like so much of Trump's presidency, the word unprecedented in some ways seems like an understatement. You can bet he is going to absolutely start a big legal battle over this. He has never been shy about using the courts, whether he has a robust case or not. And there is going to be so much legally to untangle with this that even for some wild reason, Trump had thoughts of complying, it would still take so much time just to even work out what would that even look like? What would that even be?
So, yeah, I'm listening to you speak and then you question, the why. Why are they doing this? Why is the committee doing this? What is their goal, right? And we just heard Chairman Benny Thompson speaking to this idea of accountability. Let's listen to it one more time right here.
But the need for this committee to hear from Donald Trump goes beyond our fact-finding. This is a question about accountability to the American people. He must be accountable.
Yeah, accountability to the American people, to the police officer who lost a life, to the Americans whose votes he was trying to throw out. What do you make of this, Luciana? Will this do anything to impede Trump's narrative, the narrative of I am Teflon Don, I can get away with anything? Do things change?
Well, it's the January 6th committee, but remember, there's another date that's also central to their work, and that is November 8th. Election day, because if Republicans take over control of Congress, this committee is going to have a very short future. So on the one hand, there is clearly a desire to hold Donald Trump accountable, a desire to display the full narrative, to have something of an investigation into what really happened and what broke down in America on January 6, 2021, for this to happen. And how was that breakdown originating in, spread out from, perpetuated by the White House? But at the same time, November 8th is weeks away. The seating of a new Congress is only a few short months away. And getting something like this through the courts, through a legal fight, is going to take way longer than through January 2023. So on the one hand, there is very much a desire to hold Trump accountable, I think, and to have a transparent viewing for Americans of what happened in our seat of government on that day. But there is also, I think, a recognition that full accountability, that is going to be very difficult to get from Donald Trump and from a Republican Party that is running, frankly, election deniers all across the country this year.
Yeah, I mean, there are more than 300 election deniers on the ballot right now. So taking that into consideration, let's go ahead and pause for a second and watch some of the video that was presented as new evidence that details what went on behind the scenes. Let's take a look. All right. So what we're watching right here is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer talking about what is going on in the Capitol. They eventually go on to speak with the vice president. And it really shows you how, you know, how just how much was at stake, you know, in this moment. Do you think this evidence, all of the evidence, whether it's this piece of video or all of the evidence that the committee has laid out, will change minds at all?
I mean, that's a huge question, right? I think that's one of the central questions of the work of the committee. And I think it is difficult because Trump's narrative for so much of certainly his political career and so much of his life in other ways has been one of grievance, has been one of us against them, me against them. They want to get to you and they're coming through me to do it. And in some ways, there is the possibility that this digs people even further into this position, that widens that gap, that creates that sense of grievance and isolation. At the same time, I don't think that negates the committee's work at all. I mean, you and I, we're journalists, right? Like, we got to believe in transparency, or why do we do this job? We have to believe that there is value to transparency. There is value to accountability. There is value to saying, these are the facts. This is what we have discovered, and presenting that to people and letting people make their own choices. And so I think certainly for, we're talking about the midterms, for people who might still be undecided in their vote, I think in some areas, particularly in the suburbs, which tend to be a little swingier than cities and rural areas these days, this is something that people might be looking at and people might be thinking about as they cast their ballots on November 8th. On some level, this will reach some people. Will it reach everyone? I doubt that.
All right, Luciana Lopez from USA Today, thank you so much for taking the time. We always appreciate it.
Thank you.